Hello, Peaceful Place friends. It's good to be together again. Today, we are going to talk about something very exciting and very fun to learn about. For me, anyways, I love learning about this stuff. We are going to be learning about the planets. We are going to learn about the planets in our solar system. We're going to learn their names. We're going to learn the order that they are from the sun, so the ones that are closest to the ones that are the furthest away. And we're going to learn what makes each of those planets unique and special. And we're going to get to take a look at some real pictures of these planets. And we're going to also end by singing a song that may help you learn the names of the planets, a little bit about them, and the order that they're in. So let's get started. First, what is a planet? Well, a planet is a massive body that travels in an orbit or a path around a star. Now, you may remember from learning about the sun with teacher Brianna that our sun is a star, and we're on Earth, and Earth is a planet, and it's a planet because it's a massive body that travels around the sun. Okay, and we'll get to see a little video in a moment of all of these planets and their orbit around the sun. We're going to see which ones are closest and which ones are farthest, and different things that we notice about that. Also, what makes a planet is it has to have gravity. And gravity is a force that pulls objects together. So we have gravity on Earth, and that's what keeps us down, right? And when you talked about the moon with teacher Brianna, she may have mentioned that if you tried to just stand on the moon, it doesn't have much gravity. So you kind of start to float. But here on Earth, our gravity is strong enough to hold us down. So that's what keeps everything on the surface, is that gravity. And every planet's gravity is different. So we'll learn more about that in a little bit. All right, so a planet is that massive body that travels in an orbit or a path around a star. Our sun is a star, we are on Earth, and that is a planet. Okay, so we're gonna take a look at this video together, and you'll notice at the center is the sun, which we said is also a star, and the other planets in our solar system that travel around it, and we will get to see which ones move fast, which ones move slow, which are closer, which are farthest. So we'll talk a little bit more about each of those planets throughout the video, and hopefully you'll be able to see them and observe new things about them. All right, so let's take a look at that video. Okay, so here we can see our solar system, and these are all of the planets in our solar system orbiting around the sun. That bright shiny thing in the middle there, that is our sun. And you can see the closest planet zipping around the sun, that is Mercury, and then you can see Venus and Mars, and then on that blue line is Earth. And you can see that they're all kind of moving at different speeds, right? And way outside on that farthest blue line is Neptune, and it is farthest from the sun and has the longest trip to make. And you can also see that they're all rotating in the same direction around the sun, which is counterclockwise. All right, that was a pretty neat video that we looked at, wasn't it? You got to see that at the center was our star in our solar system that we call the sun, and we got to see all the planets that orbit it, and that some of them move faster, some of them move slower, and the ones that move faster are the ones that are actually closest to the sun, and the ones that travel slower are farthest from the sun, and it takes them a lot longer to make a full trip than it does for the ones that are closer. All right, so you may have noticed in that video that not all the planets were the same size, were they? No, there are planets that are massive, beyond huge, beyond what we can even imagine as huge, and there are some that are actually smaller than Earth. So I have a picture that kind of lines up the planets from the sun, the ones that are closest, and goes in order from the ones that are farthest, and it will show us the size of each of those planets in comparison to each other. So here's our picture. All right, so we see, of course, that we have the sun, and then next we have Mercury, And then, you can hardly see it on this picture, can you? Try and get it close up. It's so teeny tiny in comparison to the sun. Can you see the little dot that is Mercury on here? And then there's Venus, and then there's Earth, and there's Mars, and Mars is small too. Let me see if I can get that in even closer. Can you see those ones? Hopefully you can. And then we have Jupiter. Now Jupiter is the biggest planet in our solar system. And then we have Saturn. Saturn's the planet that has the ring around it. It's also a very big planet. And then we have Uranus and Neptune. And those two are kind of similar in size. But of course one is going to be bigger than the other. Pretty neat. Trying to make it so there's not a glare because this is laminated. But some of those first ones are so teeny tiny. Can you see those? Pretty cool, right? Okay, so next I wanted us to learn a little bit more about these planets, and we will talk about them in order. I made this book. It is called The Planets in Our Solar System, and this picture down here is pretty similar to the one that I just showed you. So let's get started. The first planet in our solar system is Mercury. There we go, Mercury. All right, let's read a little bit about it. Mercury, make sure you can see it, there we go. Mercury is a small planet, not much larger than our moon. Because Mercury is so near to the sun, we can rarely see it. One side of Mercury is very hot, and the other side is extremely cold. Mercury has no moons. It is the smallest planet in our solar system. It takes 88 Earth days for Mercury to complete a full orbit around the sun. Now, 88 days sounds like a lot, right? But it takes Earth 365 days to make a full trip around the sun. So Mercury travels faster than Earth does to complete its full orbit around the sun. So there we have Mercury. What is the next planet? Do you remember from our picture? It is Venus. Venus is our next planet. Venus is nearly the same size as Earth. Venus is our nearest neighbor. In the night sky, Venus is very bright. It rotates around the sun clockwise. Venus has no moons. Venus is the hottest planet in the solar system because of its thick atmosphere. It traps in all the heat. So none of the heat can escape that the planet makes, so it's very, very, very hot on Venus. All right, third planet is Earth. There we go, Earth. Hey, that's where we live, right? Earth is our home planet. It is the third closest to the sun. In our solar system, Earth is the only planet where conditions that are necessary to support life exist. Earth has air, water, and seasons. Earth has only one moon revolving around it. There we go. There's Earth. What is our fourth planet? Our fourth planet is Mars. Mars is our fourth planet in our solar system. Mars is a dusty, cold, and desert planet with a very thin atmosphere. Mars is the planet most likely to have life besides Earth. Mars has 2 tiny moons that revolve around it. We have sent robotic rovers to Mars. So we have sent robots to go onto the surface of Mars. Pretty neat, huh? Because it's that close. Next, after Mars, is the biggest planet in our solar system, Jupiter. All right, Jupiter is the 5th planet in our solar system, and Jupiter is the largest planet, and it is made of gases. Jupiter has no solid surface, so you couldn't stand on it like we can stand on Earth. Or we could also stand on Mars. Jupiter is more than twice as massive as all of the planets combined. That is so big. Jupiter has 63 moons. That is way more than Earth, right? We just have the one. They have 63 moons. Could you imagine what that would look like if we looked up and we saw 63 moons? Wow. The red spot on Jupiter, also known as the Great Red Spot, has very strong storms that are about the same size as Earth. Whoa. Jupiter has rings of ice particles that are very hard to see. So they don't have rings like Saturn that we can see very, very well. They just have little rings, so you can't see them in the picture. But this spot right here, see if you can see it, this red spot, known as the Great Red Spot, that's the size of Earth. The size of Earth, our planet, is the same size as this giant red spot on Jupiter. That is a storm. Wow, pretty crazy. All right, our sixth planet from the sun is Saturn. We have Saturn as our sixth planet from the sun, and it is the second largest in our solar system after Jupiter. So, Saturn is an enormous planet, and it's made of gases. Saturn has no solid surface. Revolving around Saturn is 56 moons and many rings of ice-coated particles. So Saturn has 56 moons, which is still way more than we have, right? On Earth, we only have one moon. They have 56 on Saturn. These unique rings are 40,000 miles wide, but only a few inches thick. So they are so wide, wider than I can even imagine, but they're not that thick. They're pretty thin. And like it said, it's made of ice-coated particles. Wow. And those rings are very noticeable, which is why we can see them in the picture. It's because they are so big. All right, our seventh planet from the sun is Uranus. Uranus is the seventh planet from the sun. Uranus is a giant, or an ice giant. Uranus is made of water, methane, and ammonia fluids above a small rocky center. The methane makes Uranus blue. Uranus is the only planet that appears to rotate at nearly 90-degree angle. So it appears to spin on its side. That's why sometimes it's also called the sideways planet. It rotates on its side, like that. Uranus rotates in the opposite direction as most other planets. Uranus has 27 moons and rings made of ice particles that are so small that they are hard to see. So it also has rings of ice particles, but we can't see it in the picture because they're that small, but they exist, they're there. All right, our last planet, because remember we only have 8 planets in our solar system. Our 8th planet is Neptune. It's also blue, right? It's also almost all blue, just darker. All right, Neptune is the 8th planet from the sun. Neptune was first located through mathematical calculations. Neptune is an ice giant planet, just like Uranus. Neptune has 13 moons, still more than Earth, right? That's still a lot of moons. They appear green when seen through a telescope. Our moons don't look green, right? I wonder why. I wonder why those are seen as green through a telescope. Neptune is a dark, cold planet and is whipped by supersonic winds. It's also known as the windy planet. Neptune's atmosphere is made of hydrogen, helium, and methane. The methane gives Neptune the same blue color as Uranus, except a little darker, right? There we go. There's Neptune. Pretty neat, huh? So those are the 8 planets. Hopefully you learned something. I learned a lot just by making that book to share with you guys and looking up all those fun things that there is to know about the planets in our solar system. All right, so I thought that we could end our time together by singing a song that I'm going to play so that you can hear the tune and the music behind it and the man singing as well, but I'm going to sing it with him, and hopefully you will be able to catch on to some of the parts of the song that repeat themselves, and if you don't, that's totally fine. I will also send the lyrics because I think it's a great song and it helped me remember the order of the planets and a little bit about each one of them. All right, so let's sing this planet song together. In the starry night sky, planets can be found. They're in our solar system, flying all around. It's time you hear about them. It's time you learn their names. Let's sing about the planets up in outer space. There are 8 planets among the stars: Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. 8 planets among the stars. Mercury is the hottest. It's right next to the sun. Venus is our next door neighbor. It's the closest one. Earth is where we come from, the place that we call home. Mars is small and full of rocks. There's so much more to know. There are 8 planets among the stars: Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. 8 planets among the stars. It's freezing on Uranus. Doesn't sound so nice. Saturn has a ring around it. They're made of rock and ice. Jupiter is the largest. It's mostly made of gas. Neptune is the farthest planet, and it's the windiest. There are 8 planets among the stars: Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. 8 planets among the stars. So grab your telescope when it's dark at night. See if you can find a planet as it passes by. When you lay in bed and start to close your eyes, think about the 8 big planets dancing in the sky. There are 8 planets among the stars: Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. 8 planets among the stars. There are 8 planets among the stars. I hope that you guys enjoyed singing that song with me. Hopefully you learned some of the song's lyrics or just had a nice time listening to it. Thank you for joining me today. I loved talking to you about planets and learning more about them. I feel like I learned so much just making this video for you guys, and I hope you enjoyed. So I'll see you next time.